Successful meetings and ultimately successful collaborations are about people, first and foremost. When you can't have everybody in the same room with you, it's important to be able to see them, to be able to interact with them, along with the information that you're working on. The only way that we could make it happen every day is to use GoToMeeting.
I'm Michael Parrish-Dudell, entrepreneur, speaker, and best-selling author of Shark Tank Jumpstart Your Business. This is a show about discovery, about showcasing the next generation of business and media influencers. It's new, it's now, it's the next crop. Hi everyone, welcome to The Next Crop. I'm Michael Parrish-Dudell. My guest today is Hebert, an entrepreneur, speaker, and the founder of CrowdfundingHacks.com, an online course that helps people raise money on crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Clay, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
So I feel like today, especially, a lot of people know what crowdfunding is, or at least they understand the basic concept. But tell me a little bit about sort of how you think of crowdfunding and where it's at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I hear a lot is people interchanging the words crowdfunding and crowdsourcing sort of incorrectly. Crowdsourcing is exactly what it sounds like. It's the sourcing of something from a crowd. So we all know Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a crowdsourced encyclopedia online, sourced from a lot of different people.
Right.
Crowdfunding is a subset of crowdsourcing. It's the crowdsourcing of funds from a particular group of people.
So getting a lot of money from a wide group of people, basically.
Exactly.
Hopefully a lot of money.
Hopefully a lot of money,
yeah,
right.
If you do it right.
We can talk about
that.
You hire you. Exactly. So it's getting small amounts of money from large groups of people to reach a financial goal, to execute a creative project. So far, there are kind of two types of crowdfunding. There's rewards-based and equity-based. Rewards-based is you raise, a backer would give something like $50 and maybe get a sweatshirt or a movie in return. Equity-based is a completely different kind of crowdfunding that's not, it's currently going through legislation and regulation that's coming online soon, and that is a backer might give $5,000 or $10,000 for 0.1% of your company.
So equity versus reward based. Right now, when we see Kickstarter, Indiegogo, that's all reward. You can't give equity on that, right?
Correct. All rewards based.
Which makes it difficult or better for maybe startups or entrepreneurs? Do you think it's better for rewards or better for?
It's great. It's great to prove the model now.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the type of company. If you're trying to raise $20,000 to finish a documentary, it absolutely makes sense to do rewards-based. If you're trying to build a next big technology startup and a bunch of VCs in the Valley tell you no, then you might want to look at equity. If you're willing to give away, basically, if you're willing to give away a chunk of a future company and it's the kind of company where equity makes sense, then equity crowdfunding is going to get really exciting. There's not a whole lot of projects where it's going to be a big decision of which one to use. It's going to be pretty obvious. Is it more of a creative, artistic project, or is it more maybe a technology startup? That said, recently the Oculus Rift.
The Oculus Rift?
Yes.
That sounds like a spaceship.
It basically is. It's a virtual reality headset that raised over $2 million on Kickstarter, and then very recently sold to Facebook for $2 billion. Wow. So rewards-based can play in that whole technology startup, exiting to a larger company as well.
So you just said something interesting. You said crowdfunding is going up and up and up. It's becoming more popular. I'm going to be honest, I'm a little hot and cold about this because I feel like every time I go on Twitter, every time I go on Facebook, it's somebody asking for money. Fund my thing. I'm like sick of it. Like, no, I'm not going to go raise money yourself. Create a sustainable business model. I, as a consumer, get sick of seeing time and time again begging for money. Are we at a place of oversaturation? Or are we going to get to a place of oversaturation? Or is this what we're all going to expect when we go on our social platforms now?
Well, if your friends are just posting and tweeting about please pledge, and that's the bulk of your social updates, they're marketing their campaign in the wrong way because they're just blasting it out. And that's part of what my course teaches is how to find the 1,000 people who care. That's all you need is 1,000 people that really, really care about your project.
Yeah.
So I recently helped a project called Kittyo.com, Kittyo.com.
For all the cat lovers out there.
For the cat lovers out there. It's a product that allows you to play with your cat when you're not at home. He went and found the intersection of cat lovers and people that love design and have disposable income. And he didn't bother everyone else. He went to Facebook pages just that are all about cat lovers, and he gathered 13,000 emails pre-launch of his campaign.
Cat lovers are huge right now, by the way. Everyone all of a sudden coming out as a big cat lover.
Right. Cats are half the internet. But he didn't just get people to blast it. That's people that don't understand how to effectively market a crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah.
They try to say, how many Facebook fans, how many Twitter followers. It's more about targeted. Who really cares about my product and how do I reach just those people? Instead of thinking about mass, they should think about literally who are the 1,000 people, what are their names, and how do I contact them?
Yeah, that's great. I feel like when you go to these crowdfunding platforms, you see that there are certain type of projects that seem to be more popular. I haven't heard of the cat thing before, but projects like art projects or documentaries or fund my dance recital. These are things I see. And a while ago, Zach Braff, the actor, got in some trouble because he funded his film on Kickstarter, and people said, first of all, he's a celebrity. He probably has access to money that other people don't have. And also, after he raised the money and made the film became profitable, and he didn't refund any of the cash, which actually isn't part of the deal, but still bad press. What do you think about that situation? Was he in the wrong to go on Kickstarter? Should he? Right, so you're with me on this. He shouldn't have...
No, he was not in the wrong.
Right.
And I was pounding the table about this when all the backlash was coming against him, because what's frustrating is it was some of the backlash was from the artists, the independent filmmakers who thought that why is a celebrity on this platform? But if they even watched his Kickstarter video, he said, I want to make a film in this way. If I go with the established companies, the existing gatekeepers, they're going to make me do this film. They're not going to allow me to cast this guy in this role. They're not going to allow me to cast Michael Parrish-Tudel as a power forward in my film, right? Yeah. But if the crowd allows him to raise the money, also on the rewards and what they got back, like you said, it was never part of the promise that when the film is profitable, you get your money back. That's more like an equity crowdfunding, or if there's a sale or an acquisition or whatever. He promised very specific things like early access, that you get access to the scripts and the videos and the playlists and things like that at $10 and $20. Well, nowhere else can you get that exact thing, and if you're a Zach Braff fan, that might be worth $10. So he completely fulfilled his rewards. There was never any sort of promise of future profits of the film, or I'm gonna refund them. But the main problem I have with that whole gripe against Zach Braff is, I knew that by a celebrity like him or Spike Lee or Veronica Mars using a platform like Kickstarter or Indiegogo, it brings more exposure to it. It may seem like it's oversaturated in our world in New York and in your social feed. Most people across the country don't even know what this is yet, but maybe they know who Zach Braff is, maybe they know Spike Lee or Veronica Mars. And it brings new people to this platform, and that's the first Kickstarter project they've ever seen. And so when I was so vehement about this, I said, don't you realize, the independent filmmaker professionals, that he's bringing much more exposure to the platform? And eventually Kickstarter did publish a blog post with all the data that I didn't have, that is, he brought this many people where they were the first, his project was the first project they had contributed to, and they went on to fund a lot of other independent filmmakers. So
based on people. So Zach Braff, if you're watching, we have a crowdfunding expert here on your side to fight against all your people who are sort of going against you. When somebody starts a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign, the first question I hear, and I'm certainly not an expert, but the first question I get asked is, how much money do I raise? Yep. Do I go for 5,000, 10,000, 20,000? On Indiegogo, you can keep a percentage of it even if you don't raise it. On Kickstarter, you can't, so it's a little bit different. How does someone get to that number? Is it how much they need, or is it how much they realistically think they can raise?
Yeah, it's a great question and one I get often. The simple answer is you set your funding goal as low as possible to complete your project. So if you really, really need $20,000 to finish post-production on your documentary film, set the goal at $20,000 and then make interesting, compelling rewards. And here's why. There's sort of this myth in crowdfunding that the crowd is helping you get to this goal of this finish line of your funding goal. And they think if they set their goal too low, that once people discover their project, that, oh, they already hit 21,000, I don't need to back this because I don't need to help them get to their goal. The reality of it is, the people they want to back you, they want to support you, but they're a little bit selfish and they want the thing, they want the item. And Kiddio's a perfect example. They were funded in 45 minutes, $30,000, but it's continued to just go up because people want a Kiddio to put in.
So it's a marketplace.
It's a marketplace. It's the most interesting store on the internet. Crowdfunding is the most interesting store on the internet, but it's not there's not a lot of people that wake up and go to these sites and browse and try to find stuff. Often they'll come via a link via email and discover other projects. But the point is, crowdfunding projects get funded before they launch, not while they're live. So it's all about the pre-work and the pre-marketing.
Which brings us to an interesting point about how do you structure your reward system. I feel like there are so many people out there. You see these like, I'm going to give you $5. If I give you $5, you're going to get a digital handshake. Yeah. There's all these things that really I don't think matter anymore. I think they're maybe sort of the crowdfunding of the past. As we look forward, the bar has been raised. We have to figure out a way to create more compelling rewards. How do you structure a reward breakdown? How does that work?
You're exactly right. Nobody has ever woken up and said, I really want to pay someone $10 for a digital handshake or digital high five, or I want my name on some crappy website I've never heard of before. So I absolutely tell people, just because everyone else does it doesn't mean it's a good idea. I say for $1, think of how much digital value you can add for $1. And here's why. Here's a secret trick that I tell all my folks for crowdfunding.
Secret trick.
$1. Imagine if you got a private set of, let's say, 6 videos teaching you how to do something related to the project, right? So I helped us campaign with a certain kind of shoes that helped you dance. So I said, you should offer a series.
Wait, I'm sorry. Shoes that help you dance?
So
I need those shoes.
Yes, you do. So you and I both have leather soles on our shoes, but the shoes that people wear to be stylish now, the high tops and the sneakers, what the kids are wearing is rubber.
Okay.
So this was a product where they took rubber shoes, the high tops that the kids are wearing, and put like dress shoe soles on them so that you could actually dance. Interesting campaign. I said for the $1 level, what you should offer is a series of YouTube videos to teach people how to dance in this thing. So if you offer 5 or 10 videos, a video course, you could even call it for $1, now you've changed the customer's mind from, am I donating to this campaign, versus what level am I donating? And so the big thing is, people need to price their reward levels what I call below MSRP. There's sort of a misconception that because you're doing this to try to raise money, that it's kind of like a donation or a fundraising and you should price your things above MSRP. So what I mean by MSRP is manufacturer suggested retail price. So if you want to buy Malcolm Gladwell's Kindle book, it's $9.99. Amazon has trained us that Kindle books are $9.99. So if a Kindle book is part of your Kickstarter reward campaign, just the Kindle book, you need to be cheaper than $9.99 because guess what? You're not Malcolm Gladwell. So if I can get Gladwell for $9.99, yours better be $6.99, or you better have other interesting things around that. So I always say to people, there's fulfillment risk in crowdfunding. What that means is if I go buy a book in Barnes & Noble or I order something off Amazon or Zappos, it's going to be as described at my door in 24 hours or less. On crowdfunding, as we've seen, it might never come, it might come 6 months late, and it might not be as described. So there's all this fulfillment risk, and you need to compensate the backer for that risk by pricing your products below MSRP.
Got it. All right, so if we're looking out 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what would you project? Where is crowdfunding going?
I think it's going to continue to get larger. I think, like social and digital, it's this kind of new thing, but now people don't so much talk about social media and Twitter in the way they did in 2008 and 2009. It's become more part of the vernacular and more an accepted thing, and I think crowdfunding is going to fit in that space between creators and gatekeepers, where some successful crowdfunding campaigns are going to say, you know what, I don't need you, Mr. Gatekeeper, I raised the money on my own, and for others it's going to be first market validation, growing their tribe, and proving to the gatekeeper. And they might go on to raise money, but now they've got the tribe, they've got the market validation, and the power is in their hands. So I think crowdfunding is going to continue to grow. The equity side is going to get really, really interesting. It's going to get confusing and it's going to get complicated because if you think about the traditional equity side of raising friends and family money, or if you're raising 30 grand from a rich uncle over the Thanksgiving dinner table, now imagine that exploded by the internet. So there's going to have to be a lot, and there is, that's why it's taking so long, a lot of figuring out of who can contribute, how much, what are the regulations, all the SEC stuff, so that it doesn't become this big spaghetti mess. But the opportunity is interesting because now if someone's got an idea and some potentially ignorant VC doesn't think it's a good idea, that's not the end of that person's dream.
Well, you heard that, gatekeepers. Your days are numbered, says Clay. I want to thank my guest, Clay Hebert. You can find out more about Clay on his site, crowdfundinghacks.com, or on Twitter @ClayHebert. And if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to visit thenextcrop.com/more, where you can find 5 minutes more of this very episode. We're going to be talking about the one thing you can do to dramatically boost your results on crowdfunding. 5 minutes more, totally free. The only place you're going to find find it as thenextcrop.com/more. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great week.